Hello all! So I just saw the trailer for Ouija Origin of Evil. And oh boy, I gotta see this movie. Like seriously, why can't it be Halloween already? Like it just looks freaking amazing. Not only did they hire one of the best new horror directors you can get right now, I'm going to mispronounce his name because I mispronounce everybody's name. Seriously, I do watch my videos. But Mike Flanagan, I mispronounce everyone's name. But he did Hush, he did Before I Wake, he did Oculus. Before I Wake is honestly still going to be my pick for best horror film of 2016. It was amazing. He is a fantastic, amazing director. He can make an astounding film. So not only did they hire this amazing director to do this movie, and he's one of the best horror directors there is. He's great with atmosphere, he's great with characters, he's great with story. Not only did they hire this guy, not only did they give this movie a really cool premise. It's a prequel to the original Ouija, and it fills in all the gaps. And I know some people might say prequels are a cash grab, but this actually makes sense given the original. So not only is it a good premise, and not only is it an amazing trailer, like wow, the trailer looks astounding, and I'll get to that, but also it's a sequel to a movie I really liked, so it's got all this stuff going for it. And now I'm probably already getting countless bad responses to this video because I just said I like the original Ouija, and I did like the original Ouija. Now I'm getting tons of downvotes for saying that, so I feel like I have to explain myself, but I really shouldn't have to. But here's my explanation for why I like the original Ouija. The original Ouija is a horror film about a Ouija board and a ghost coming out of it and tons of scary stuff happening. And a lot of the horror community hated it. It got really bashed by the horror community in general. And a lot of horror fans just tore it down. But I really loved it. And the reason why it was hated, the reason why nobody liked it, is because it wasn't that scary and it had no blood and it felt really toned down. Which is true. That's not a lie. That's true. But here's the thing. When I watched it, and I watched the whole movie, it felt like it was a horror film aimed at tweens and young adults. It felt like it was a horror film with them in mind. And I thought that's why it was toned down, because it was made for a younger audience. So I've mentioned in other videos that I really like the idea of horror films made for people that aren't horror fans, for them to get into the genre and become horror fans. Because we can't all start with I Spit on Your Grave, and we can't all start with Hellraiser. Like, you need stepping stones to get into the horror genre. You need horror films for kids to kind of take their hand and lead them into the genre. I grew up with stuff like Are You Afraid of the Dark and Ernest Scared Stupid. I grew up with horror movies for kids, and they got me into the genre. So that stuff is important. So I saw the original Ouija, and it honestly felt like a horror film for tweens and very young adults. And I really liked it for that. And the interesting thing about the original Ouija is it's a slow burn horror film. It really takes its time. It really builds up its characters. It really builds up its plot. It's really slow. It's a slow burn horror film. And it takes a long time for it to get to the good stuff. It does a lot of world building, a lot of character building. And I really like that. If you're making a horror film for a younger audience, for tweens, most directors would make it rushed, make it fast-paced, would try to grab their attention because they're little kids. But this film respected its audience and you know, actually tried to be a slow burn, slowly growing into this scary environment horror movie, and as a result it had a pretty good plot and had pretty good characters. So I liked that was a horror movie for tweens that decided to be a slow burn and treat its audience with respect, despite the fact that it was made for a younger audience. So I really respected that. And the trailer for the sequel looks amazing, and they've honestly hired the best possible director they could get for this. This director doesn't even like doing our horror films. He likes atmosphere. He likes scares. He doesn't like gore. You can tell from his movies. So they got the best director they could possibly get for this, and he's going to make a really good freaking movie. Seriously, you gotta check out the trailer. It has a lot of good moments to it. It has a lot of fun, happy moments that shows that it cares about its characters and builds up its world. And if you watch my Before I Wake review, you'll know that the best thing about that movie was its fun, joyous moments that built up its world and how much it cared for its characters. This really felt like that. This felt like a continuation of that style. So if he does the same thing for this that he did for Before I Wake, this movie is going to be astounding. And I really like the idea that Ouija, a horror film maybe for tweens, is getting a sequel that's going to be maybe for tweens. I looked up the rating. It's, again, PG-13, because I do think horror films for tweens and younger audiences are important. And I think it's cool that they could get their own horror series. When I was a kid, I got Are You Afraid of the Dark? They should so get that. You don't have that anymore. There's no more horror movies for younger adults anymore. It always goes really, really brutal, or it's a PG-13 flick that feels like it should be really brutal and they edit all the good stuff out. There's not really much intended for younger viewers, and that really sucks. You need those stepping stones films. So I think the Ouija series, if done properly, could become that. The first one, in my mind, was good. A lot of grown-up, older horror fans that were expecting something really dark and gory sure didn't like it. But I think if they saw it when they were really young, they would have gotten a massive kick out of it. And that's why I thought it was so well done. So all I gotta say is check out the trailer. It's quite clear from the trailer it's going to be a heavily character-driven story. It's going to really care about its characters. It's going to really care about its plot. It's going to really care about proper pacing. And there is going to be some disturbing stuff. Like you see in the trailer, this guy pulls back a slingshot and it turns and boom! And it cuts away. So it's not going to show that people get killed, but it's going to suggest enough that the viewer will be able to fill in the blanks, which makes it a really good horror film for kids, because some tweens will see this and say, holy crap, that was really disturbing. I saw some really creepy stuff. And they didn't really. So yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome movie. I probably won't get to see it in theaters. Unfortunately, I love watching movies with other people, and I don't know any other horror film fans. You know, I love going to the theater with friends and family, and none of my family are going to want to see this. So that kind of blows. But I will probably see it when it comes out on DVD. I'll probably, what I'll end up doing is buying the original and watching these two back to back. Probably watching the prequel first and seeing how well it leads into the first film. That would probably be the best way. So yeah, I'm just, another thing I should know is I'm just really glad that this director has gotten more work. I really think they should give him as much work as they possibly can, because I do think this guy can do some great stuff. And once again, I'm really impressed by the fact that this movie is going to have happy, character-driven moments. There's a fun little lull in the trailer where it just shows happiness, and then it gets back to the darkness. And that's great. So I'm glad that they actually showcase that in the trailer, because Before I Wake had a lot of that, and it still is having a hard time being properly released. And I felt it was pulled back because it had so much of that they didn't know how to sell it. I am glad that they're actually selling this horror movie on that. So if you want a proper explanation of why I think that works and why I think that's good for a horror film, you can watch my Before I Wake review. But basically, I just think it's good for character development, and it's good for building the world, and it's good because he really knows how to do it well. The director, I mean. He really knows how to do that stuff well. So I am so seeing this. It might take me a while, but I will review it. I am so down for this, because it looks freaking amazing. But, of course, what all did you think of the trailer? Let me know, please. Thank you, and cheers.